Morrigan and Chulainn are absolutely broken in Record of Ragnarok. These two have demonstrated that the Celtic gods are the most respected in the entire story so far. Let's break it down. So what if I told you Sun Wukong is going to lose? Likewise with the greatly improved Hindu god Indra. You might be calling me delusional, but these two are preparing for their long-awaited rematch. That's right. The legend of the hero Chulainn and the goddess the Morrigan, the Ulster Cycle. A collection of folk tales passed down orally over generations, featuring a number of variations and deviations, only matched by the number of storytellers. This is the lore the narrator in Record of Ragnarok has revealed about the Celtic gods. However, there are certain truths known only to those the very myths are about, where we cut to the war goddess Morrigan, with her revealing this about Chulainn during his first Ragnarok fight. That he's the only man to ever defeat me. And that in this whole arena, the one who wants to kill him more than anyone else is me. That brat and me, we've got a debt to settle. If he keeps going, I'll kill him. And if he drops out, I will kill him. That's all. So let's provide some context to those of you who are confused at the current minute. This is occurring in Record of Ragnarok, the Apocalypse of the Gods, the official ongoing and canon side manga to the main series, where we're currently enjoying round 12 Kentucky vs Odin, while this manga, which I'm going to refer to as the Apocalypse, is currently sitting on 17 chapters, where we are getting these gods on screen right now fighting in a more conventional tournament for the possibility of being added to the main series, as this manga is a prequel to the main tournament. Right before round 1 Thor vs Lubu occurs, we're getting this tournament between mostly outer gods, ones that can't really be controlled or are not part of the main branch of Valhalla. Not all of them, but the majority involved in this tournament, all wild beasts. Not because they're weaker than the ones chosen, just because they're too savage and uncontrollable. With the winner also getting the ability to add something to the Valhalla constitution, and it also seems likely that the winner of this tournament will end up facing Zeus as the finale instead of getting added to the main series. But that's just a theory at the current minute, but it does have a lot of things pointing to it. So regardless, we are currently pretty much concluding the left side of the bracket. The first 4 rounds seem to be over, at least for the most part. I'll be breaking that down right now. So in regards to Chulainn, one of 2 Celtic gods introduced in Record of Ragnarok, we see him during the initial announcement calling Zeus and the other well-known gods bastards. And what makes you think you're so important? Highlighting his disdain for the mainstream gods in control, but showing excitement upon being chosen for this tournament, and then interrupts Zeus and Ra, who were about to throw hands. Well, technically his dog did, but proceeds to disregard Ra as he has business with Zeus, saying to the chief god that if I win your seat, will you give it to me? Showcasing that he wants to be the ruler of the gods, and is what led to their matchup being chosen to begin this tournament, and the entire bracket being revealed as well. Furthermore, Zeus tells both of them, if you're going to talk big, you need to take responsibility for your words. You'll have to prove it first, the strength to spout such words. When you accomplish that, I will prepare a suitable reward. Meaning, once they've proved that they're the strongest within this tournament, Zeus will listen to them, which may imply that the winner will need to face Zeus at the end, or the winner's wish may connect to challenging the supreme god. However, for now, let's have a look at Chulainn's insane victory over Ra, an opponent that was built up similar to the likes of Zeus, Odin and Shiva, a supreme god of an entire pantheon. But again, different to all those in the sense that he's an outer god. But as I go over their entire fight, just take note, Chulainn was able to defeat this person with one attack at the end. the aspect that truly highlights that this beast is overpowered. But for the fight, we literally have Ra introduce himself as the god of the sun, who is truly the god of gods. The true pinnacle of gods is me. Absolutely wild, and does provide the whole king of gods aspect once again. And him actually raging out as Chulainn is introduced as a demigod, something he would naturally feel superiority over by default. However, he is also considered a warrior god and a berserker on top of that, something to remember when moving forward. But compared to Ra and many others, he is a low ranking god, meaning he lacks clout within Valhalla, but still has his origins somewhat explored, outlined as a fellow outer god and recognized as the Unrule officially, and claims that he doesn't care about either gods or humans, just doing anything the way he wants, wanting to prove that he is indeed the strongest, but right away faces a huge wall. Ra is highlighted as much stronger and faster than the demigod, alongside wielding an overpowered heat-based ability that right away is destroying Chulainn, halving his opponent's power and speed, and featuring such heat, Shiva is annoyed by it, who can literally do this, a showing during the early stages of the fight that already had people watching think the warrior had lost, but he was able to remain and shows a huge increase in speed that gets the likes of Zeus, Shiva and Wukong shocked, while Ra was able to counter with a kick, and Zeus noting that Chulainn's speed and power has been growing since the match begun, something that annoys Ra as it's taking too long, entering his godly transformation already, looking literally like Ra the Yu-Gi-Oh card at this point, and providing one of the biggest beatings in Record Ragnarok to this day, leaving the half-human like this, but still standing all things considered, and us learning the truth about Ra within this universe, that being how he became an outer god long ago when he used this transformation to attack and try and annihilate humanity alone. This was due to their arrogance, and naturally went against the Valhalla constitution, resulting in numerous gods from heaven fighting to eventually stop him, but a huge massacre occurred and Egypt was turned into a desert as well. Some crazy lore, and we see a similar thing occurring right now as Chulainn receives even more of a beating, resulting in many gods to admire Ra's strength and count him as the victor without a doubt, apart from one, Morrigan, who is the sole fighter aware of this warrior's true ability. His divine weapon is shown helping him up as it happens. His new presence shocking Ra instantly. An insane amount of divine energy is coming from Chulainn as he enters his transformation and prepares for an attack. One that within 5 seconds gives this demigod the victory over the supreme ruler. Connecting to a legend people know well about the demonic spear, the attack known as Gae Bolg. An attack that required Ra to go maximum output for the sake of invading. However, Chulainn in this berserker transformation was faster than both the attack and Ra himself, landing in the air to prepare the expanding spear version of it, one that literally tracks the opponent, something that once released is impossible to evade or defend against, and is exactly what allowed this demigod to defeat Ra in one shot, something that took 5 seconds after receiving a beating, as you see here, for 15 minutes, highlighting his insane durability all things considered as well, outside of the insanity of this attack, one of the most overpowered within all Record Ragnarok without a doubt. With it being highlighted that per se only top tier gods were able to see and understand the attack he just used on Ra, and we see Chulainn making fun and laughing at the gods, returning his weapon to himself, transforming into its original form as he takes his leave, getting everyone's attention as an unbelievable treasure has been found. Chulainn is a major threat within this tournament, particularly for Wukong, his next opponent in round 2. But we see after he leaves the arena, which by the way looks like this, he falls unconscious in an instant, meaning the insane 15-minute beating he took from Ra was actually quite severe. And the next time we see him, we learn that Prometheus took him to the medical room, the opponent of Sun Wukong, who is recognized as the first outer god within the Record of Ragnarok universe, and as many of you know, was absolutely destroyed by the Monkey King, also being one-shot by 15% of his power, with Wukong being set up and outright confirmed as one of the strongest gods in the entire Ragnarok universe, certified top-tier recognition from people like Zeus, and honestly wields one of the most overpowered abilities as well, meaning the Irish boy will be facing the Monkey King in round 2 of the Apocalypse tournament, something that may pretty much decide the winner of the entire thing, as Wukong has been set up as the strongest participating and favourite to win, while Chulainn does have some protagonist energy based on many readers' opinion and official art pieces released for the series, but no confirmation that something like that is the case when it comes to the series at the current point 17 chapters in. But moving on from that, round 3 was between Indra and Suzaku, where the Indian god was able to claim victory in a somewhat close fight, revealing that he's been training since his defeat we saw in Shiva's flashback and now stronger than ever before. And I might add, to such an insane degree, Hermes claims that the strength he displayed just now, when comparing it to the chief gods, highlighting the likes of Hades, Thor and Shiva, he does not come up lacking, I dare say, highlighting insane improvements throughout this tournament and how each winner is becoming more and more of a monster, growing in power and being fearful of what beast will remain at the end of the tournament, something that we have the setup for Zeus fulfilling his duty, needing to take out the winner of this tournament due to how insanely strong they've gotten. But just take note, each winner, for example Chulainn after Ra, is continuing to grow in power progressively with the experience and the situation they're currently involved in. And now we are getting the 4th fight, which may already be over as well. This is between the Morrigan and Nezha. But before their fight officially begun, we got an interaction between Wukong's friends and the Irish boy himself, where he's glad that he's facing someone so strong next, as he can finally go all out against someone, meaning it's possible that during his fight with Ra, he has more to demonstrate, regardless of the initial beating he received, and of course one-shotting upon entering his berserker-like state and activating his divine weapon. So very interesting stuff. But the setup for their round 2 clash actually connects to the current fight between Nezha and Morrigan, as we got a reveal that sometime in the past, Nezha and Wukong had a fight, one that lasted for 17 days with an inconclusive result. Neither of them managed to defeat one another, a draw you could say, highlighting that Nezha's character is pretty much someone who hunts down other gods, mostly those recognized in the outer god category, but due to being unsuccessful in defeating Wukong in the past, no matter how many gods he hunts down, his heart remains empty, blaming Wukong for this, not caring about the extinction of humanity, who the strongest is, whether this be Ragnarok or the Apocalypse. All he cares about is facing Wukong again and defeating him, his absolute goal. And you could say Morrigan is somewhat similar. She wants revenge against the fellow Celtic god, the only person to ever defeat her, with her being recognized as the strongest goddess already, but likely desires the recognition of being the absolute strongest in the entire Ragnarok universe, something that may be achieved from winning this tournament. That's why regardless of Chulainn making it to the final of the left side of the bracket, she's going to face him and kill him at a later point anyway. Therefore, let's go over what she did against Nezha in this potentially insanely fast fight. First is being recognized as a classification level 5 by the synthetic cyborg god Nezha, and introduced as the outer god Unbelievable. That is her title, each of them have their own, with the lore drop that sometime in the past there was another tournament to determine the strongest goddess, and in the final match we had the Snake Empress, someone who was hailed as pretty much the winner of that tournament going into it, being destroyed within an inch of her life by Morrigan. How she got the strongest goddess title and did it with pure destructive power, something she unleashes at Nezha right away, seems to have these giga-sized gauntlets on, but fails to land as the synthetic god transformed his arm into this shield-like thing to block it, followed by sending her flying, not doing any significant damage, then revealing that he actually absorbed Morrigan's power then, unleashing it back in the form of pure destructive energy, something Morrigan outright just smacks away, forcing Nezha to take a different approach, transforming his arms and hands into these blades for close quarters combat, and successfully slices up Morrigan quite a bit. However, she begins to lock in and actually catches one of his blades with her teeth, growing in power as this occurs, preparing to land a monstrous blow, and actually makes the synthetic cyborg god have the sensation of fear as bang. The arena explodes and we get this panel of Morrigan holding the remains of Nezha, with the commentator saying it's over. So at the current point, we don't have definitive proof that it's 100% over, as we haven't gotten a victory panel yet. However, one thing for sure is it isn't looking too good for Nezha. And yes, it's possible he has some type of regeneration ability based on the panels highlighted during his 17-day clash with Wukong some point in the past. However, regardless of the fight continuing, I do believe Morrigan will be the victor regardless, meaning she will be facing Indra in round 2, and is a fight I think she'll be able to win as well. Indra showed crazy improvements, but Morrigan's domination of Nezha, a potential Wukong rival at least some point in the past, we don't exactly know how much each of them have grown then, likely by a lot, but definitively speaking we don't know. So Morrigan should win her second round fight and make it to the final of the left side of the bracket, where she'll either face Sun Wukong or get that wanted rematch against Chulainn. That is where everyone can leave your comments, your theories about what's going on, but it seems like both Celtic gods have achieved legendary victory so far, defeating someone from the Egyptian pantheon and the Chinese pantheon in pure domination, highlighting that right now they're probably the most respected pantheon as they haven't faced a defeat, just domination as we get the build up for the potential rematch later in the story. But with this said, anything can really happen, so make sure to subscribe here on Mysterious Weeb for all the Record of Ragnarok content you need. Everything new that drops, I'll be covering it right here.